It's happening, good people. Happy Monday. It could happen. It's happening. It's February 26th at 10:30 in the morning here in Western Iowa. Hope you're having a great day. Thank you so much for the subs and the likes and just for helping this channel grow. It's only been 2 months, not even 75 subs, and thanks for sticking with me and for coming back. And if you're new, welcome to the club. All right, here's what's going on around the country today. It's a mess out there. We have big changes coming with our cold front that'll be barreling through the center of the country with some severe weather out ahead of it and some very warm temperatures today ahead of the front, turning frigid by Wednesday morning, at least here. We'll get into that. So ahead of the front, we're getting a lot of wind out of the south today across the southern plains, the central plains, the eastern slopes of the Rockies, into the Midwest, where I am in Iowa. Technically, we're the Midwest. You got northern plains for Nebraska into South Dakota. And throw in Missouri and Illinois, too. Why not? Red flag warnings are in effect. Dry conditions, warm conditions, windy conditions, high fire danger, basically. And if you smoke, no condemnation, but if you smoke, keep your butt in the car. Anyway, that's one of my oldest jokes. You'll probably hear it again sometime. All right, South Dakota, you're also looking at wind advisories, and North Dakota too. Now, is that a winter weather advisory for North Dakota becoming a winter storm watch? Yep, and parts of Minnesota as well. Further to the west on the other side of the Rockies, still more wind, high wind watches, high wind warnings, wind advisories all across the west, depending on where you go. And scattered in there is, chance for some big snows, especially for the mountains. So you're looking at winter weather advisories for Utah, for Nevada, for California, parts of Oregon, Idaho, and even Washington. But the Cascades of Oregon and Washington, that's a winter storm warning. Also winter storm warnings for parts of Idaho into Montana. Again, Yellowstone Park in Wyoming, but other parts of Wyoming as well. So our big storm's coming in, and snow levels are going to get very low for Portland. I was just checking that as this low continues to sink into the Pacific Northwest and bringing cold air with it, and low snow levels down to 200 feet for the Portland area by tomorrow morning. And so we're talking snow at Washington Park Zoo, snow on the Rose Garden, snow at the Botanical Gardens. And there are lots of hills around the Willamette Valley and in the Portland area that top 200 feet. So there will be snow nearby, if not at your house, if you live in that area. And then, of course, heavy snow for the Cascades and for the Coast Range of Oregon and southwestern Washington. And that heavy snow moves right into Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, Colorado, even northern New Mexico. We're looking at critical fire danger for West Texas and southeastern New Mexico, even Wink, Texas included in that. That's where Roy Orbison was born, I believe. Anyway, critical fire danger up through the Oklahoma Panhandle into Kansas and Colorado as well. You see our chance of thunderstorms, Michigan, Ohio Valley, Kentucky, Tennessee. We'll get more into the severe weather threat for tomorrow here shortly. And a little bit of rain for the East Coast and a little bit of rain mixed with snow further north. Today's high, very high, out ahead of that front. I mean, we have 90s today in Texas. 94 for Austin. 80s in West Texas. The 84 Roswell, New Mexico as well. And then 80s for Oklahoma. 80 in Arkansas, Louisiana, 70s and 80s and 70s, Mississippi, 70s into Tennessee, 70s, Missouri, and 70s, mid-70s here in Iowa. They're talking about possibly breaking all-time record highs for the month of February today. If we hit 79 in Omaha, that will do it, and it's going to be close, and it's going to be windy too. So warm winds ahead of the front and then cold winds behind the front that's coming. It's going to get crazy, the difference in temperatures. Excuse me. So here is that front tomorrow. And with that warm front lifting into Wisconsin, Michigan, it's a chance of freezing rain, a chance of mixed precipitation, basically rain changing to snow for Iowa, Nebraska, parts of Minnesota. And then it's all snow for Nebraska, South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho. Now, what's going to happen tomorrow is our high temperature. I'm just going to go with where I live in western Iowa. Our high temperature tomorrow around 50 in the morning, and then temperatures falling below freezing by afternoon, evening, with perhaps rain mixed with snow, but definitely some snow. Not expecting a lot. Depending on the computer model you look at, could be no snow to a trace to maybe half an inch. And then Wednesday morning, a low of 9, wind chills 10 below zero. So we're going from 75 today to 10 below zero wind chill Wednesday morning. That's what's coming. All right. Here's your severe threat. That's Illinois, Indiana, southern Michigan, parts of Missouri. And we'll get a closer look at that. In fact, let's do that right now. Here is a look at that severe weather threat. This will be late in the day tomorrow into early Wednesday. We're talking winds gusting over 60, maybe higher. And there is a threat for tornadoes in a part of that area. So it's a 5% chance of tornadoes, say South Bend, Indiana, south side of Chicago, a little bit of Ohio there into Illinois. And mostly it's going to be a wind threat, but there is a slight chance of tornadoes. The green area is a 2% chance of tornadoes. So not a great chance, but you're saying there's a chance. Yeah, there is. And then we get into the Wednesday. That cold front continues further to the east, bringing a mix of precipitation for much of the east, thunderstorms for the south, and some of that mixture getting into West Texas, New Mexico, with thunderstorms further south, southern Arizona, southwestern New Mexico, and the Pacific Northwest. Another system will be moving in as you get into the week tomorrow, or get later in the week, say Thursday, Friday. All right, here's the GFS model. So let's take a look at the same forecast, but as depicted by our computer model here, starting at noon Central Time. Pretty quiet, except for the Pacific Northwest. We've got the rain and the snow for the lower elevations, snow in the higher elevations. That's getting into Northern California, by the way. Heaviest snow is Idaho into Montana. And otherwise quiet on the Western Front. And the Western Front is forming and moving. So by late tonight, this front will be moving through the Dakotas, some snow with that, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming. Very windy. You see these tight lines, these isobars very close together. And these are blue, so you got the colder air, but these are red. So you got the warmer air rushing up to meet the front today and tomorrow. And so warming in front of the front and then a drop cool off as the front moves through, depending on where you live, will be the timing of that. Meanwhile, we do see some heavy snows moving into Colorado, northern New Mexico. This is Tuesday, 6 a.m. Central Time. Some pretty good snows for northern Minnesota as well. And we see some showers starting to form here. Nothing too bad yet. But as we go through time, that's the area we're going to want to watch as the cold front approaches. Now, the cold front moving through western Iowa, they don't have a lot of snow on the GFS for us. So it could be a little bit of snow blowing around, not a lot to stick. But definitely you see the change in temperatures here from the red lines to the blue lines right on top of us. This would be 15 minus 12, 3 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow as the front moves through northwestern Iowa and then the rest of the state. And you see that narrow band of light snow moving quickly through. And now we're starting to see those showers and thunderstorms erupt. This is late in the day, Tuesday. So southern Michigan through Indiana, we see those thunderstorms, and again, some possibly severe, slight chance of a tornado or two. Those race off quickly, and things calm down rather quickly as well, but still a few thunderstorms for Pennsylvania, New York State, as you see the cold air rushing southward and eastward. Snow now moving from Wisconsin into Michigan, very light for Illinois and Missouri. And meanwhile, another storm moving to the Pacific Northwest with snow levels not as low as the current system, but definitely getting on the low side. Another area of showers and storms busting out on Wednesday. Not expecting too much severe weather here for Kentucky and Ohio. Cincinnati getting in on the action. This is Louisville, Lexington, and here. So some storms in your area. Lining up again, moving through Pennsylvania into West Virginia, parts of New York State. We are now noontime Wednesday Central Time, so 1 o'clock Eastern and 10 a.m. Pacific Time, with rain on the Oregon and Washington coast. And as we go through the day on Wednesday into Thursday, this system races off with rain changing to snow briefly and out of here. Our cold air in Iowa now being replaced by warm air again as another low sinks southward into the Pacific Northwest, and we get the high pressure bubbling up in the middle of the country again. So a very fast warm up for parts of the Midwest and Central Plains where that cold front raced through. And then we'll watch the Pacific Northwest for another chance of rain and snow. Low elevation snows, maybe down to 1,000 feet, not as low as the current system, but could be mixing in some snow, even lower elevations. But the heaviest snows will be, we're talking, of course, the Cascades of Oregon and Washington. We've got some heavy rain down here for southern Oregon coast as well. So that's worth watching. Medford, if you're in that area. Possibly changing over to rain mixed with snow, even some low elevation snows, according to this. Meanwhile, some light rain moving across Texas. We're now noon Thursday Central Time. And we're getting, towards the end of the week, we have less certainty, of course, with our computer models as we go out in time. But some thunderstorms for Arkansas, near Memphis, into Missouri. And we have scattered snow. Some of it's kind of heavy here in Sierra Nevada and for Oregon and Washington, even Northern California, moving into Idaho and Montana. This is overnight, Thursday night, moving into Friday. We see our showers in the south with a few thunderstorms, maybe some brief heavy rain there. Moving into North and South Carolina, Virginia, down along the Gulf Coast. And we see a big mess moving into Northern California, heavy snow for Sierra Nevada. Lingering heavy snows for the southern Oregon Cascades, even the Coast Range. And again, low elevation snows, not quite down to sea level, but pretty low. We'll keep an eye on that. Things can change. We'll see if they have to update their forecast. And then that system moves onshore with another area of heavy snow for Salt Lake City, back into Nevada, up into Yellowstone Park again, and up into Montana. This is for next weekend. So again, uncertainty grows as we go further in time. Excuse me. But that's kind of the trends we can look for, another West Coast storm. And I think that's going to reveal itself when we look at the long-term trends for temperatures and precipitation. This is a week from today, maybe some rain, maybe even some thunderstorms here in Iowa into Minnesota. On the warm side of the front, the cool side of the front has some light snow into South Dakota and Nebraska. So that bears some watching. Just a few 100 miles of placement of that low, we might get a little light snow here. Or, if it's back the other way, we could have a better chance of some thunderstorms here for portions of Iowa. So we'll see what goes on with that next week. Yeah, we'll keep you updated as we go. That's what we do. So here are your long-term temperature trends. This is the 8 to 14 day outlook. So basically where we left off on the GFS model and then taking it another week. Colder than average temperatures, a good bet for Southern California, Nevada, the Four Corners area, and really all of the West Coast. And then warmer than average, basically the Central Plains, Northern Plains, the South, and points east, and your best chance for above average temperatures looking for the Northeast, and the Great Lakes. Meanwhile, precipitation across the country looks pretty wet for the South with those thunderstorm chances. But really, most of the country, eastern two-thirds for sure, with a pretty good chance of above average precipitation as we get deeper into March. All right. Will March come in like a lion or a lamb? The answer is yes. It depends on where you live. So, but we'll let you know as we go. So thanks for tuning in the weather, Mike. I really do appreciate it. Have a good Monday. It could happen. It's happening.